All right. So TED, this is one of my fascinations. TED Talks. I helped to start TEDx Asheville in 2009, and I've been reading tarot since I was 18 years old. I got my deck when I was in Italy, in Venice, and just a little bit about tarot on the history. It's a little bit more than a little bit, but it started way back in the 1400s. The deck that's the most famous is the Waite-Smith deck. I like to put Smith before Waite, partly because of the designer, Pamela Smith. What she did was very interesting. She took all of the number cards that usually just had numbers and then pips, and she gave them each unique symbols. So now tarot became more accessible to the average person, like myself, who could look at the card and have a reaction to the card, not just numbers. So we're going to be talking about this. These are all the cards that they made into individually designed symbols, and I'm an observer. I like to notice patterns. So this is laid out 1 to 10, top to bottom, and you can see some patterns among each of the numbers as you go. Another pattern that I really love about tarot is the way that the Fool, in its journey, really the major arcana is 2 layers of a journey. It's a little bit like the hero's journey, where the Fool is really every card in the deck. There's 78 cards, and the Fool really represents all of them. In fact, the Fool represents all of us, represents me. This is the journey going from using the tools all the way to divining them in a way that gives you fortune. And then this next layer is really the downfall. It's some of the tragedies and the hard times that the Fool, or you and I, will go through, including the devil, here in the devil's foot. How about that? And there's this resolution here that starts with a star. You can see how the colors even change. The way Pamela drew this together, it gives you an ability to notice. And for somebody like myself, I just sat with the cards for a long time. The royalty is really interesting, and I love the way that there's 16 of them. About a couple years ago, I started to map those to the Myers-Briggs, and I was like, okay, there's something here. It's very interesting, and I really love identifying myself with the Page of Cups. The Knight of Cups, right? So my ENFP is right there. It's actually really, it helps me see another layer to the tarot that I had never seen before. So I really love this kind of mapping strategy, looking at one system, bringing it to another system, and understanding different layers of what's going on. So 2010, I go to the Big TED conference, and while I was there, one thing that really struck me was that the talks were interesting, but what was really the most interesting thing was turning to the person next to me after the talk and having a conversation about the talk. So I've been leading watch parties like this for a long time. This guy, Peter Struck, isn't one of the talks that I mapped, but it's an important one for this. He talks about divination and why we use divination and why the Greeks thought to be the greatest philosophers, the greatest minds of their time, why they would go to temple to ask for divination. It's an excellent talk about it. I'm not actually going to tell you much about it. So Lineages of Change, this is the most recent tarot deck. I love this deck because each of the cards is done by a different artist. Adrienne Marie Brown brought this together, was just released last year. So I did what I would naturally do, and I said, hey, tarot, help me understand what tarot cards I should talk about. And this is what it said. It said the Four of Swords. I really love this card for symbolism. If you look at it, it kind of looks like he's in a sanctuary, or he might be dead. But look at the way his hands are posed. He's actually in rest, in meditation. So I mapped this one to Andy's talk because it's a little bit of a throwback, and I kind of chuckled at the tarot because Andy's talk is about making meditation accessible, which is exactly what Pamela Smith did with the deck. I was like, oh, you tarot, you're playing with me a little bit. And then, of course, you can't talk about the tarot without talking a little bit more about the Fool. And I love the Fool so much. All of the symbolism that's so rich here, including the dog, and look at the 0. That is the number 0, but it also looks like the world to me. And if you've tracked the tarot, the world is the final destination. So the fool already has the destination when he starts. So this talk with Charlie is an incredible talk about absolutely making a mess. Just make a mess in your life. Make a mess. He talks about it so well. He even brings 2 dogs onto the stage with him, very much like the Fool card. And even in the last sentence, he doesn't even complete. He kind of just walks off stage. It's a perfect talk for this. Then the High Priestess. This card probably speaks the most to me in the tarot because tarot is about revealing what we don't see. And this card really epitomizes that. It births, it helps see the dark, mysterious part without fear. And Jill Bolte Taylor's talk is absolutely perfect for that. It was actually the first talk that I ever saw, first TED Talk I ever saw, and it gave me this encouragement to keep looking. It's an incredible talk of a scientist studying her brain during a stroke. If you get a chance, check that talk out. It's incredible. So those were the 3 that the tarot gave me, but I had to give you a few more. I'm not going to talk about each of them because there's 78, y'all, and I've got 6 minutes, right? So the Page of Swords here, Stephen Johnson's, is probably the most important. I was there when he spoke, and that's the one where after he talked about where good ideas come from, I turned to the person next to me who became a very close friend of mine, and we had one of the richest conversations that I had up until that point in my life. So I leave you with this, that oftentimes the genius is sitting right next to you as we go into break. Thanks.